Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Assange Vigil. I am Misty Winston, joined by my co-host Eric, who you know as @Koi Contrarian on the tweeters. So we have a lot to do today. We have a great guest. There's a lot to talk about. Today. So let's get through the numbers really quick. So it's been 4,063 days of illegal and arbitrary detention for journalist and publisher Julian Assange. 1,016 days since the WikiLeaks founder was kidnapped and trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy, and after essentially being sold to the UK in exchange for a $4.2 billion loan from the IMF. 380 days since Judge Vanessa Baraitser denied Assange bail just 2 days after motioning for his release in her ruling against extradition. 1,611 days of inhumane pretrial detention for alleged Vault 7 whistleblower Joshua Schultz. 1,016 days since the start of the political persecution of Ola Binney. And we need to talk about Ola Binney today because his trial has been held over the course of the past 3 days. So there's updates there. 296 days since drone program whistleblower Daniel Hale pled guilty to one charge under the Espionage Act. 102 days since Hale was transferred to a communications management unit at United States Penitentiary Marion in Illinois. Today marks 900 days of confinement for Stephen Donziger. So he's also doing a Twitter thing, take a picture with a sign, 900 days, posted on social media. 224 days since hacktivist Commander X was arrested in Mexico and extradited to the United States. And then we have a little bit of good news, our little pocket of sunshine. 52 days since Craig Murray was released from prison. He has been in the process of writing a series of blogs describing his experience in prison. So you should check that out. 221 days since Reality Winner was released to home confinement. She has since been placed on parole. So, she's still under the thumb of the BOP and, the system. 679 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning. I'm pretty sure Chelsea still streams on Twitch on a regular basis. I think it's Twitch. I think it's /XY Chelsea 87. Ooh, but check me on that. I might be remembering that wrong. 429 days of freedom for Jeremy Hammond. Whew, so many numbers. I added Stephen Donziger today because it is the 900th day of confinement for Stephen Donziger. And on the 900th day, it turns out Joe Biden appointed one of the judges or one of the lawyers who fucked him over to be a federal judge today. So that's good. Seems like we're going in the right direction. Anyways, we have an amazing guest today. She's an author. I have her book right here, actually. It's called Left Out When the Truth Doesn't Fit In. I highly recommend this book. You guys. It's really good. And I will I think the website is in the description, but Tara Reade is here. Thank you so much for coming. We love you.
I love you. It's wonderful to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. You were just on my birthday, bitch. That was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah. How does it feel now that you're kind of in it? Now you're in it.
And now I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really feel any different.
Okay, there you go. Well, that's good.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
I mean, it's kind of weird. 40's weird, kind of, I guess, but only because I've been told that it's weird. It's not really weird to me. I don't know.
I wore a special t-shirt today for you.
I'm so excited.
Yes. I'm going to try to do this without my light falling.
Who's your Vladdy? That's my Vladdy.
Who's your Vladdy? Oh, I know.
There he is.
We have swag. We have swag.
Yeah.
This is all in honor of the State Department releasing a report yesterday, which thank you for peeling me off the ceiling last night because I was pretty annoyed. I read that. What? And because I'm used to reading hit pieces about myself, and for some reason though, that I don't know, that just really bothered me. And just just how many lies there were in 33 pages.
Yeah, it's intense, right? That's
verified facts about what the American government did, and they're calling it disinformation or somehow Russian propaganda. We are definitely, I think right now as a nation, American citizens are in an abusive relationship with the government. It's
my God.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
They're just gaslighting us. Jen Psaki was out today saying,
drink a margarita, bitches.
Drink a margarita and take a boxing class.
Oh my God.
Sarandon points out, most American citizens don't even have $1,000 for emergencies. They can't afford margaritas and cake boxing,
right?
Jen Psaki, or whatever. But anyway.
She's so gross. She's so, the condescension just oozes out of that woman. She is a vile person. I mean, oh man, the way she talks down at everyone. I mean, she treats the journalists with absolutely zero respect. The way she talks about like just people like today, go drink some margaritas and take a kickboxing class. Fuck off. Like people aren't even surviving right now. There's people who have been evicted or are getting evicted. They can't feed their kids. They can't go to the doctor. Really? Oh,
this shows the incredible disconnection that anyone holding any position of power or, within the office just has with any regular citizen. It's just proof in the pudding that a margarita and a kickboxing class is the last thing that a majority of people are thinking about at the moment.
Well, I don't know. The margarita programs.
Listen, I love a good margarita. I'm not going to lie. But it's still really disconnected from reality. It's gross.
But I was going to say, the Back to the State Department report, they, of course, mentioned WikiLeaks. You saw that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And they're still like trying to cover up war crimes, basically.
Yes.
So, and what was missing? It was really curious. They didn't mention the Steele dossier. Isn't that funny? And that was all like false reporting and New York Times, Washington Post, CNN. Funny, like it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked for it. I looked up Steele. No, nothing.
Nothing. No. Well, they can't bring that up because that destroys their narrative.
Either. Yeah, it was. I think it hung around there for about 2 or 3, 4 years, maybe.
Do you remember when they blamed Abby Martin's show for Donald Trump? And that was a show that had been off the air for like 2.5 years or something. That was funny. They're like, breaking the set. Like it's mentioned in the how it was so influential in the election. I'm like, that wasn't even on the Donald Trump hadn't even announced he was running for president. And that show was off the air. It was it's embarrassing. All of that shit is so embarrassing. And people still buy into Russiagate, y'all. There are still people.
And that State Department report, which is basically calling Sputnik and RT
propaganda.
Propaganda or disinformation. Right. Like basically saying their reporting is false, which you have really good journalists with integrity that work there. So that's just bullshit. I hope. But anyway, so they actually they call them that, and then they make it like a cartoon. They put those graphics up with maps. And then all the links go to the top, which is why we have our Putin swag tonight, with Putin, of course, at the top, like their little stellar map. And so I was like, is this a graphic novel or is this an actual government document? I don't know. You tell me.
It's also silly. It really is. It really is.
Not, until they start censoring, because, and whoever's watching, just know that they may start with those outlets, but they will come to you like any independent content creator.
They already are.
Yeah.
They already are. I mean, just look at all of the people. I just tweeted about this earlier, like with just everything that has been like at the start of the virus, right? There were things that people were talking about that were like, you were considered like tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists if you would even dare ask the question or talk about it, right? And now some of those things are seen as like widely accepted truths. How many people lost their platforms 2 years ago for talking about stuff that is now just widely accepted? I mean, they don't get their platforms back. They don't get, where's the compensation for the money that they lost for having lost? You know what I mean? It's the censorship is coming for all of us. And I don't know why I have to explain that to grownups.
And kind of going back to what you were saying too, about how people still believe in Russiagate, I get involved with a lot of anti-war stuff, and I still will run into conservatives who still think that we are fighting the war on terrorism. So this goes back. The propaganda works so well on so many people that it'll just stay.
Spoiler alert: we are the terrorists.
It's like too much like Biden. Remember how he does his whisper thing?
Oh yeah, dude. Jesse Jett made that whole ass song with Joe Biden whispering in it. Every time I listen to it, like I love me some Jesse Jett, but I listen to that song and it's like I can only listen to it once. Like most of his other songs, like I can listen to that like once every once in a while because he creeps me the fuck out. Biden's creepy.
The whisper thing he did. I don't remember him doing that when I worked for him. He just does the smile when he's angry thing.
He's senile now, so
yeah, he smiles.
He's like a shell, a husk of a human.
When I watch those old Biden clips now, his mannerisms are vastly different than how he portrays himself now. There's like that creepy smile with whatever agenda that he's talking about in the moment, whether it's this amount of crack, right? talking about, jailing people or implementing, insane laws.
Mhm.
And it all comes with like this like creep smile that goes along with it, and with a little bit more gusto behind it, where now it's just, what we all know what it's like now.
It's kind of vacant. Yeah.
Yeah. Vacant's a good word, and I think that's pretty descriptive of Joe Biden at this point. Did y'all see the press conference? He oh God. Okay.
I watched the clips I had to watch.
If this doesn't prove to you that it does not matter who is president, I don't know what it will take, because Joe Biden is not making any decisions, you guys. Donald Trump didn't make any decisions. They are nothing more than the puppet. They're the face. That's it. They're the face. They're not making like legitimate decisions about anything important. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. The same agenda continues. It's a different cover on the same book.
Well, going back to what you were saying, like I was just thinking about, that press conference, the questions that they asked him were so softball. There was no hard hitting like follow-ups. Like, they'll ask a question like, hey, it's not going that well, but they don't follow up and say, well, because he answers his, the platitudes and that it's fine. And I don't believe in polls and blah, blah, but he doesn't give facts and statistics. And so they don't come back at him like, okay, well, what about this? What about that? What about the fact that you made a promise like 3 times that you would forgive all student loans and you backed down, but then now you've not doing anything. He literally didn't answer that question. He walked away.
Well, he's done that many times. Somebody asked him about Assange one time. He just walked away. And I don't even know that I think that it's not even that it's not because he's not giving facts. These journalists don't ask follow-up questions. It's because they know they'll lose access. They won't be invited back to the press room if they continue doing that. If you ask hard questions, they're not going to give you interviews. They're not going to, they're not going to take your questions. And so it's this access bullshit.
Do you remember that time? I forget which outlet it was from. It was from a traditionally conservative outlet. They asked about me. They asked about Tara Reade about the sexual, because it had to do with the Cuomo thing, the sexual assault. And did you see Saki's like the jaw clench and the?
No, I don't remember that one. But
well, we've been allowed to ask it one time, and that guy hasn't been back.
Of course not. That's how it works. See, that's why they don't ask follow-up questions, because they know they won't. It's access, all of it. That's why it is not journalism. It's PR. That's mainstream media is nothing but public relations. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally hire spooks.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even hide it. They are like on their little banner thing. It's like former CIA or former FBI or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, now we have legislators that are that. Remember that one that made that really awful remark about pinching Russians? Like she didn't care about the sanctions.
Yeah.
And then I looked at her profile and she's
former CIA
analyst.
Melissa Slotkin.
That's what happens when you vote in legislators that have been former intelligence officers.
And just so everybody knows, AOC sent her your money. You donate to AOC, and then she gave it to a CIA candidate. So, that just in case you forgot about that, that's what you need to remember about who AOC is.
Yeah, it's all kind of dire right now. What do you think is going to happen Monday with the Assange? Is there a chance, do you think, that the Biden administration is going to back off, or
not without immense public pressure? That's not happening. They're in it here's the thing. Okay, so first of all, just to give everybody an update so you know what we're talking about, just in case you hadn't heard, on Monday, as you guys may or may not remember, on December 10th, they had the whole the hearings where they were trying to the judge was ruling on whether or not they were going to reverse the decision and allow extradition. So after that ruling, Assange's defense team obviously immediately put in a request for an appeal. So this isn't even like a legitimate appeal. It's just they had to ask the high court and show some evidence or whatever that they had a basis for filing an appeal. So what we're going to hear on Monday is not like earth shattering. It's not like direction. I mean, it'll tell us a lot, but there's not like, it's not going to be he's free on Monday or he's being extradited on Monday. This is just kicking the can further down the road. So what happens from here is the judge can or the judges, I guess there were 2, they can either decide to certify the request for appeal, which means that then the appeal would go to the high court, And they can deny it, which means it would be kicked back to the magistrate's court, and District Judge Vanessa Breitzer would then essentially just send it along to Priti Patel, who is the Home Secretary, and then she would have 2 months to decide on whether or not she was going to approve the extradition. They can also take it to the European Court of Human Rights. So that's another option. I think they're trying to decide if they should go ahead and do that now or wait for everything else to exhaust itself. It's a little bit of like legal chess, trying to figure out which move to make at which point. But I'm tired.
COVID is complicating it, I'm sure.
Oh, it has been. Yeah, definitely.
All the cases are backed up.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they just had another outbreak. The first time last winter, they had an outbreak and they ended up transferring like 60 COVID positive patients from in the prison to Julian Assange's like wing or whatever they call it, cell block, or I forget what Stella called it. It was something different entirely. But yeah, so then there was another outbreak just recently. He has an underlying lung condition. He's had too many strokes. They're trying to murder. It's murder in slow motion, really. And this is just it's an extension of that, because this is just, again, going to kick it down the road a little bit. Like Mary Costakita just tweeted out the other day, this could be like another 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Will he be able to survive that?
I don't know if I can survive it. I can't imagine him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, every time because I'm tired. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. And every time I'm like, Jesus, imagine what he's been through.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Or Stella, imagine what Stella's been through. It's crazy.
But 2 more years of that wrangling but if the US, like, let's just say there was enough public pressure and the US dropped it, then would the UK back off because they just have
I think so.
Yeah, so
I think so. Yeah, I mean, the US is pulling the strings here. There's no question about it. There's because they are
I mean, we knew
Assange
that.
is only being held on remand because the US said so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the UK could have released him. She could have granted him bail. Vanessa Breitzer, as I mentioned in the numbers, motioned for his release in her judgment against extradition. She literally says the words, I forget. He needs to be released. And then 2 days later denied him bail. So, I mean,
I don't understand.
I don't either. And it's just, he has a zero history of violence.
Right.
He's not, they say he's a flight risk. He's one of the most recognizable people on earth. And we're in the middle of COVID. Like, everything's locked down. You can't get on a plane unless, you know what I mean? Like, it really, just let him go. I mean,
they're making an example of him.
I know. We all know that.
They're trying to show all of us, look what happens if you embarrass the empire. Right?
And that's why it's going to take mass public pressure for it to stop, because that's we have to make it politically untenable for them to continue. And the only thing that does that is being very loud about it.
I think with the midterms coming, there's an opportunity to ask candidates, what's your position on Julian Assange?
Nobody will ask him. That's the problem.
Well, that's the problem. But we as independent voters,
I just need to go follow around a bunch of candidates.
Right.
Like, if I have to go follow them personally, I'll do that.
Like, even because even like Tucker Carlson has said Julian Assange should be released. So even the Republican candidates don't just like, the progressive, but like, make it so that the one that says it should be dropped gets some pop, gets some. And then maybe that'll change, because there has been, like, I know yesterday I read that there's some prominent Germans that came out all together saying that Julian Assange, so more and more, and some more Australians, but like, it's just not enough Americans. Like, we need the American government.
Dude, every major human rights organization, every journalist organization, they're all speaking out for Julian Assange's release, and it has, like, they don't care. They don't care. So it is, I mean, it really is going to take just a shit ton of people across the board.
Can't rely on Blinken, that's for sure. So.
No, he's a psychopath. Really, we can't rely on him. Like, Justin Amash, I think he's talked about it before. He needs to be louder. Thomas Massey, I think, is a good one to go at. I mean, he co-sponsored Tulsi's legislation in 2019 or whatever. So, I mean, there's people who I think are potentially sympathetic to the cause, but I think most politicians are not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole, because, I mean, this is going directly at the heart of the intelligence community, you know? I don't know.
It's deeper. It goes at the military industrial complex, because it's exposed what war crimes, and were guilty of war crime. And like, that's going back to the State Department report that I was, that was very upsetting yesterday, is that they're denying like factual things that they did in Afghanistan. And, it's factual reporting, like not just RT reported that, but the New York Times and the Washington Post reported some of the crimes that happened. And how can they call that disinformation when it's true? Yeah, I don't.
Because they control the narrative. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, no, they're supposed to represent the citizens of the United States, and that's what's not happening, right?
No. That's the entire mainstream media is under complete corporate capture. They are not no, there's no journalism happening. There's no looking out for the people. They are paid propagandists.
When they're sponsored by Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, that's
Pfizer. This segment brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was talking the other night with Caleb Maupin and on Red Lettuce.
Yeah.
We were talking about that, and I got the media outlet wrong. It was I said Hill, but it was Politico.
Same
right
thing.
On there says brought to you by Lockheed Martin, and I mean the big defense contractor. And they're no joke. They're like, but ironically, I just posted. I don't know if you caught it, but I just posted an RT thing that came out that we sent a bunch of helicopters to Ukraine. Yeah, which is really terrible and shouldn't happen. And I think also Caleb did a little monologue about that. It's online, which if anyone wants to check it out. But anyway, the article though was kind of funny in the sense that, as funny as it could be, in the sense that those helicopters were Russian made for Afghanistan. And then now we're sending them to use in, there you have it, in Ukraine.
Oh, it's a cartoon, you guys.
It is like doom scrolling these days, isn't it? So, I mean, I don't know. And the picture that they had, because the talks were today, I guess they didn't get anywhere. Surprise, surprise. But Lavrov looked happy and comfortable, and Blinken looked, they were making fun of his demeanor. So I don't know what happened.
Really? I didn't see any. I've been kind of busy.
Yeah,
this morning.
They were trying to make some ground. They were trying to, I mean, they're in diplomatic talks, right? They're trying to figure this out. And then the US sends helicopters with the intent.
And releases that thing about RT. And
then the day before release the State Department. And that's threatening the media outlets, right? Or by extension, any independent, They even went into Maria Butina. They didn't. They said that she was right, whatever. They started saying that she was spreading disinformation or whatever. She had no influence on this election in 2016 at all. They put down the wrong crime that she pled guilty to. I mean, it was bizarre in the State Department thing. They didn't even put it down correctly. She pled guilty only because 80 to 90% of people that don't end up with a jury trial. And they're not going to be of her peers. They're going to put her in jail, right?
Yeah.
So that's why people.
Was she in the? Do you know if that was in the Eastern District of Virginia? Do you know if that's where was it? Nobody wins there.
Yeah.
Nobody wins there.
No. And that's the same one where Julian Assange will probably go.
Yeah. Literally nobody who comes there with an espionage charge wins. Nobody ever has ever. Right. It doesn't happen. You don't even get to present talk about your intent. You don't get, I forget
no, that's the new, new act. Yeah. And then, I think, so in my talk with her, she just talked about the other prisoners, about how difficult it was for them, how much empathy she had. She talked about being in solitary confinement for 4.5 months and spending her 30th birthday in solitary. And that all she wanted was Russian and American friendship. And that, she did not have any intention of harming the US. And frankly, I don't agree. I'm not a program person, as you know. I'm not. She was kind of more in the Republican kind of, and that's not my ideology. But I had a lot of sympathy for her, for someone who had to sit in solitary for 4.5 months. That's torture. She didn't do anything dangerous. She didn't do anything. She didn't give any secrets away to Russia. There was nothing.
She was used.
She was used. She was a tool. And anyway, so if you want to check out that talk, it's on the politics of survival, which is my podcast.
In the description. Check it out. I'll also put it in the chats real quick.
Yeah, it's in all the places you find podcasts, Apple and I recently got to talk to Slavoj Žižek, and he was amazing. He's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fantastic.
And no, the podcast is dope. I loved it. Like, especially, I mean, I love Zinkis. I love him.
Oh yeah, Zinkis.
And that was your very first episode. So I knew it was going to be great when that started off. I love him. Like, he's been on Facts on the Ground a couple times. We had him on to talk about, I mean, we knew it wasn't his area of expertise necessarily, but like to talk about Julian Assange and the psychology behind, the trauma. He's a trauma expert, the trauma behind being in solitary confinement for, 2.5 years and all of that stuff. And he was great. Like, he's always just really insightful and thoughtful. Like, he really, every time I ask him to come on, you can tell he asks for like very specifically what you want from him. And then you can tell that he like prepares himself. Like, he comes ready to have that conversation. And I love that. Those are my favorite people. So I love him. He's great.
And, he's fantastic, especially his knowledge of trauma, which is, that expertise is really, I mean, it taught me a lot too, because he gave me a lot of insights into why things are so fragmented. He also talks a lot about why survivors are not believed sometimes because of their fragmented, memories, and how that can stymie your ability to get the truth out there, so to speak. So, yeah. But anyway, back to that report. My thought is the next thing that's going to happen is that they're going to start doing censoring on big tech of certain media outlets or content creators based on subject matter, like they did COVID-19, because they were kind of testing it out with the COVID-19. You know how like people
are cheering it on.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's so exhausting too.
It's so frustrating because to me, it's so blatantly apparent that is a very bad idea. I mean, again, like if you just examine the COVID-19, the past 2 years of COVID, and again, watching what was completely unacceptable to talk about, you would be shadow banned, you would lose your channel, you'd be deplatformed, demonetized, all of those things. If you even mentioned some of the stuff that today we're talking about, like it was like, it's just a widely accepted truth. I mean, you could even say lab leak theory 2 years ago. And now Jon Stewart goes on Stephen Colbert and they laugh about it. And people lost their platforms for talking about that. Like today, some study came out where they were saying that natural immunity is, like something like 4 times stronger. I don't know, whatever. But if you'd even talked about that like 6 months ago, you would lose your fucking platform. Right. And that's always what's going to happen. Who gets to decide what's misinformation and how is that decided upon? And what happens when something that is considered misinformation is then shown to be true? Then do those people get...
They more than deplatform though, Missy. They go one more step now. They marginalize the person with content to make them seem like they're not worthy. So they can't like do anything else. And the danger with that is if you start censoring, that's like the censorship just growing and growing. And that's how propaganda works. And so we're living in this neo-McCarthyism kind of weird, like finding Waldo, let's find an enemy. And, it's like, you're a spy. No, you're a spy. You're a spy. It's ridiculous. It's silly. And nobody believes it anymore. And the Democrats keep falling back on that because they literally just run on fear. And both parties are kind of guilty of it, but lately, I'd say since 2016, it's been Democrats running on fear.
I've seen a little bit too of when the censorship is trying to eliminate conversations about whatever it is they want to censor, and people who are supposedly on the side of the narrative of that they want spoken, because they're using essentially keywords that are trying to be eliminated from conversation, they're being suspended or censored in the process. So you can tell that it's not, obviously it's not an individual trying to find people who are speaking in the ways they don't want to. It's an algorithm that's finding the words and then suspending people in the process.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, if you even say words now, words are like outlawed. Like just words.
I know my name on Facebook, like people have been, my friend who's from another country. From Italy. She was like, hey, I posted this article and I can't go on Facebook for 30 days. They blocked me. And then like, because she had my name and wrote about me and then had the article up there and boom. Like
I can tell you when I tweet about you, it gets less engagement than when I tweet about, like, it's the same way with Assange. My Assange tweets don't get near as much traction as, like, I'll tweet about like something funny my kid said about farts and it gets like thousands of like likes and retweets, you know? And then I tweet about Assange and it's like a couple hundred. And that's obviously intentional. This show, so shadow banned.
Word with Assange, they just shadow ban it.
Mm-hmm. Hardcore. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, there's been like major court dates where I can see the obvious uptick in tweets about Assange. It's a lot, like for whatever reason, whether it was the 3 weeks in September 2020, but it won't trend. It's very difficult to get Assange to trend on Twitter. And if it does, it's only for a brief window and then it disappears. Happens all the time. All the time. It's crazy.
The censorship is really getting awful.
It's bad.
We've got to just keep fighting. We really do. I was going to tell you a funny story. Do you want to hear a funny story?
I love funny stories. I could use some funny in my life. I'm not going to lie.
All right.
It's a rough weekend.
When I was a kid, my brothers are a lot older than me. My brother Michael, and my brother Colin is quite, younger. But anyway, the older brothers, they were teenagers. I was a kid. I was like in second grade. And I went to a traditional in Wisconsin. I lived on a farm. I told you, out in the middle of nowhere. And I went to this traditional red schoolhouse. And we used to have this mound where we would talk or play act, or we would all entertain each other. And it was one of those schoolhouses where we had like, they had us 4 grades all together. And then a couple of the older kids' grades were separated, but we were all together, like, a whole bunch of kids. So anyway, my brothers had a book on Karl Marx. And I was learning about that from my brothers, and they were studying Marx. They were studying philosophy and all kinds of things. They were in college, right? They were doing their thing. And so they're teaching me. And my mom is, as you know, she was a activist, a feminist, and committee against racism and marched with Cesar Chavez. She was very much an activist and an artist and whatnot. And so, even though we had Catholic background, I'm a good little Irish Catholic, whatever, to an extent, right? But still, there's a portion of my family that's not religious, right? And my one brother was exploring just, no religion at all. So I bring this book and I'm talking to the kids, and there are a bunch of, this is Wisconsin, so there's a lot of Lutherans, a lot of Catholics and Lutherans. And I'm talking about how there's no God, because, we're talking about Marxism. And I was talking about, and who knows what my 8-year-old version of that whole thing was, but I gave these talks, right? So the kids started going home and saying to their parents, we go to church, right? So there was a call. My parents came in to the principal, and she's like, and the principal and the teacher, and they're like, well, we noticed she has some leadership qualities, but we'd like to channel that, we'd like to get that, in a different direction, because we can't really have the Karl Marx book here. And so they banned the Karl Marx book. So anyway, it had to go back to my brothers. And meanwhile, this was a joke among my family. So I became authoritative right away, because what their solution was is they made me a safety patrol for the bus.
Oh,
an orange sash and a badge. And overnight, I was
power trip.
I was an autocrat immediately. I was taking out the older boys that were like, that would take my marbles or whatever. I would like get them in detention and shit. So anyway, all my like really good philosophical ideas that I was having just got, as soon as I got that orange sash and a badge, I was like, that's it.
That's funny.
It was funny, but
I can see you. Is that in your book, or maybe you told that story on Facts or something? Because I think I remember us talking about this, where you were out there stumping for Karl Marx.
Yeah.
Like 8 years old or whatever, out there giving the good word of communism to the people.
I just still wonder, like, God, what was my version of that? Like, I can't remember exactly, I wonder how you
sold it to him.
Yeah. But
that hits home for me, because I grew up in northwestern Wisconsin, and I was in a torn home of one side Catholic, one side Lutheran. So I could only imagine what would have happened if that was being done in my small town of 5,000 people.
the Catholics and the Lutherans,
Yeah. Can you imagine the kids going home to their parents and being like, yeah, but Mom, Tara told us that there is no God and that Karl Marx said that.
That's exactly what happened. And my brothers thought it was hilarious. They were just thinking that was a great thing.
Well, I'm sure older teenage brothers, I'm sure that was the best thing that ever happened to them. You know what I mean?
In trouble for Karl Marx. And then, but then I got rewarded. I got the orange sash with the badge. I was the safety patrol. Yeah, that was a big honor to be the safety patrol. And I did wield that power badly. I have to admit, so maybe that's why I've never karmically had power, because I
can't handle it.
Right. I was too much of an autocrat right away.
That's funny. I never did safety patrol. We had safety patrol, but I never did it. I guess I never really wanted to do the safety patrol.
Bribed into it. I was bribed into it. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. They just wanted you to channel your energy into a more acceptable an acceptable power trip.
Crosswalk, is that what it was for?
Yeah. Like the kids walking to school, you would be in charge of making sure everybody gets across. Yeah.
We were out in the country, and we didn't have any of that. Nobody walked. Everybody had the bus. No, I was sitting on the bus, and I would be at the front with my badge, and I'd watch for bad behavior.
No.
I was on it.
That's some funny shit.
Those boys that stole my marbles, and they were 1 year up, and they were bullies kind of, and I singled them out a few times. So that was funny.
Goodness.
Yes,
that's funny stuff.
Yeah. So that's what you do. So you take a good activist and then you make them like the White House press secretary, right? Or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
Never good though. She worked for the Israeli spy firm.
Yeah, she's just a terrible human being. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. It reads all over her that she is a genuinely terrible human being. She doesn't hide it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously. I mean, I feel very confident in saying that if any of us were to meet her and to know her for more than 5 minutes, that it reads all over her, you guys. Just seriously, margaritas and kickboxing, that is some just condescension of another level. I don't even know what to say to that, honestly. That's just so gross. And it's not just like this situation, this instance. She does stuff like this all the time. Like when they were asking her, when Kamala Harris gave her ridiculous answer about how today's the day we do the thing we've done, and that day is every day, or whatever she said, right?
I think that was it. I think you nailed it.
Kind of a word salad. I didn't get it.
I just made it up. I don't know if that's. It was pretty close. I was pretty close, and I just made that up right now. But it was completely nonsensical. And so they asked Jen Psaki about it, and she's like, "Well, I don't know." They were like, do you think that the administration is in a good place or that things are going well? And she's like, well, I guess we could pass some legislation that nobody cares about, something about ponies and ice cream or puppies and ice cream or something like that.
It was I can't remember. You're right. Bunny rabbits and ice cream.
Something like that. But just really? You think people want bunny rabbits and ice cream? How about they want their fucking $2,000? How about that? We could start with that. How about they want healthcare in the middle of a pandemic? Maybe we can do that. Let's try it.
Yeah, not one reporter stepped up.
Of course not.
What part of northwestern Wisconsin are you from? I was going to ask you.
Just outside of Eau Claire, on the west side of Eau Claire.
I know Eau Claire. Yeah, our farm was outside Wausau, Wisconsin.
Okay, kind of in the center.
We lived on 80 acres in Hamburg, Wisconsin, or near there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So out in the middle
80 acres. Dang, man.
It was. And, my parents were, who they were. So they were busy.
Right.
There was older kids and the baby. And I was like, okay, she's, most it was like, get home by dark. And then there was like, what's dark? Like, we had to do. So they gave me a pony when I was about the same age that I was safety patrol. And
that's where the real authoritative person showed up, right? When you got the pony, then you felt like you were the boss.
Yeah. But they gave me a pony, but they didn't have horse training themselves. So they literally, this pony's name was Bullet, and it was named Bullet for a reason, believe me. And I didn't know really how to ride. I'd kind of ridden, but not, like maybe 7 or 6. I was still riding at that age a little bit, but didn't have my own. So here we go. They just said, here you go. And so I just learned. I just He dragged me through thistle bushes. He threw me. It was funny, but I learned how to ride. And then what really taught me was 4-H. I joined 4-H. And
Yeah.
4-H was strong back in Wisconsin. Yeah.
It's pretty big in Ohio.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. I mean, we have a lot, like I live in, like, my kids go to what I call a farm school. Like they get the entire, like when we have our county fair, they get the entire week off of school, because if they didn't, nobody would show up anyways, because all the kids are in 4-H. You know what I mean? Like they all show at the fair, so they just close school because nobody would come anyway. So the 4-H is pretty big around here. I mean, for Ohio, I guess. I have family that are horse farmers. Actually, I'm terrified of horses. I love them. I think they're beautiful, but I'm scared to get on one. So, which is weird, because my aunt and uncle, I mean, they're not anymore. They're too old, but they were horse farmers for a very long time. So
horses are amazing. They're very healing. I've loved them all, but I've had I had to learn, and there's bumps in the road. Eric, did you live on a farm or did you live in town?
No, I lived out in the sticks, and we lived just on the other side of my grandparents' farm where my dad grew up. We didn't farm, but we had like cow pastures, just on the other side of the yard, and corn in the behind the pine trees in the backyard, and then just farmers all around us. So I was in the midst of all of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good life. I think. I mean, when I had a good childhood, and that part of the childhood was very, very nice. It was very outdoors, even in the cold.
That sounds like fun. Like, I mean, I always grew up not like on the farm, but we always kind of grew up, like in areas that like we had a decent amount of land. You know what I mean? And we ran around outside all the time. Yeah, I think that's fun. I think that's more fun. I mean, like now I feel like kids, it's like all iPads, and we didn't have that shit, so we went outside.
But I have to imagine, even today though, that the kids who grow up in the sticks, grow up on the farm, grow up in with a lot of land, I have to imagine that those kids are still doing all the outdoorsy things. There's because I'll go back to that area, and I'll see, like, I feel like I go through time when I go back to where I grew up, and people are still living that way. 30 years later, so, and I'm in the city now, and I'm making efforts to get back to, living in the country for many reasons at this point. But, but
there's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons, but there is something to it now. And I kicked myself in the butt for, making all the moves in my adult life to get away from that, and then realizing that was a mistake. And, seeing that people still live those lives even 30, 40 years after I left.
It's I wonder about the childhood right now for kids with COVID and the face covering. And there was a study that just came out, I think I posted it on my feed, that there's developmental delays with some of the COVID babies and stuff, and it's just sad. It's a hard...
Do you guys have any idea how influential facial expressions are on babies? It's everything. Everything.
Speech is becoming one of the main talking points right now. Is kids having a real struggle, like that 4, 5, 6 kind of age range, is having a really hard time with speech development. So I would have to imagine we're going to have a plethora of kids with speech impediments and speech issues. I almost wonder if that's a field to get into if you're,
seriously,
if you're college age, to help with speech development.
Yeah, become a speech and language pathologist. You're probably gonna have some job security. Because seriously, I don't mean to like be alarmist, but we're gonna see the repercussions of this for a long time. Yeah, I mean, it has really drastically shifted things. Like I have kids. My kids are a little bit older. So I don't think that they're dealing with quite as much. Like I think the younger kids, I mean, especially like kids who were maybe like 1, 2, 3 when all of this started. That's bad. You know what I mean? Because that's when you like that whole like 1 to like 5 or 6, you soak in so much in those like first few years. And so all of the the facial expressions, being able to read other people's emotions, being able to, you know what I mean? Like all of those things. It's scary.
So I'm in Minnesota now, but there's school districts throughout the state that don't have any mask mandates or anything like that. Majority of them are outside of the Twin Cities metro area. But it just kind of goes to show, like, I've asked for those numbers of those districts from the district that my kid's in, because they're all mandated out crazy. And I was asking for those numbers from those other school districts, how they're doing with the spread, with this, that, and the other thing. They're like, we can't provide them. We don't have them. You might want to talk to some other people in other districts. But just that answer alone tells me it's not catastrophic. You're not having kids or even parents or even grandparents falling over left and right dying. If it's just like, we don't have those numbers, that you already just told me it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Just by saying that.
My kid's school doesn't have a mandate this year. And I think that there was rumblings for a little while that we might have to go to remote learning for a few weeks because they were having trouble with staffing. But I mean, for the most part, and I think, even the people who are missing, I don't even know that, you know what I mean? Because people are just staying home just because they don't feel good. And which is great. That's the way we should do things anyways, but we just need to structure things more appropriately for that to be the case. But I mean, a lot of these people are like, they don't get tested. They have no idea if that's actually what they have or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nowhere near as catastrophic as they're trying to make it out to be.
National leadership around it, so we have no idea what's going on.
The numbers are all skewed. It's all garbage. Our statistics are bullshit. We have no idea if people are in the hospital or die or whatever from COVID or with COVID. Like, all of it everything is completely fucked up. We have no idea the reality of what's happening around us right now. Intentionally, it's by design. But that should really piss everybody off. I mean, this should be something that's transparent and that we all know about and that we can ask questions about and that they have legitimate data for us to look at as a society. And that's not the way this is going down, and everybody should be pissed off by that.
Yeah, I really think that it leads to another thing, is that here we are in the middle of this pandemic with no Medicare for all, with access to medical care pretty much challenging, and then they're going to take us into a war, or they're trying to. And I don't understand. I do understand. I know why, but I mean, it's the military-industrial complex. But what I don't understand is why there's not more outrage. Why you're not seeing people, like, I would like to see more independent media, like some of the shows that we watch that are independent, talk about this. They're not talking about it really. Are you noticing that, Misty?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're scared because you get ostracized if you talk about it. You lose your platform if you talk about it. If you talk about this in an honest and objective way and you ask the difficult questions, you're not even allowed to ask questions, you guys. You're not, that's crazy. That should trouble everybody. I don't even care. Like, it doesn't even matter what your opinion is on the virus, the vaccines, the nothing. It doesn't matter. The fact that they are trying to narrow the dialogue to such an extreme, like, you can't even question. You can't even talk about, like, this is something that impacts literally every human being on planet Earth. We should be able to have whatever conversation we want to have about it. Nothing should be off limits. You should be able to ask the dumbest questions imaginable. We should all be able to have whatever conversations we want to have. We should be able to have access to all of the information, legitimate data, not these fudged ass numbers that don't make any sense. None of the, like, they'll even tell you that, like, somebody comes in with a bullet in their leg or something, and if they test positive for COVID, then that counts as it. That's crazy. We don't have real, none of this should be okay with anybody. All of these restrictions that don't make any sense, that are completely anti-science, none of this stuff makes any sense. The fact that they won't even let us talk about potential treatment options. You're not allowed to talk about ivermectin. We could get kicked off YouTube right now because I just said that word. That's fucking crazy. We should be like, treatment should be we should be able to talk about that. We should be able to talk about the fact that maybe we need to encourage, make healthy food more available and affordable to people so that people are healthier. It's just fucking nuts.
But that treatment, though, that you mentioned is $1 or something in a tablet form, whereas other treatments are more. I mean, and that's the problem with capitalism. And what people need to understand is, of course, we're going to question it when our biggest money makers in our capitalistic system in the United States are the big pharma companies. So how can we trust them if they're making profits from our illness and death? Like, how can we trust them? And that's the fundamental thing. That's why people are questioning it, because let's face it. Okay. They made combined $1 trillion last year. The billionaires made more money. Why?
Biggest transfer of wealth in
the
human
history of the
history.
world. Yeah. Yes.
That
like
that
80% of all
alone
money was
alarms.
printed after 2020. Like, y'all, you don't see what's happening? This is crazy. I mean, this is a complete, and I come at me with the, oh, you're a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. They are restructuring society. Like right now, they're doing that. It's not good. We need to be, and they're doing it slowly. They're obviously not just going to come. I mean, just the other day, they opened the debate on a world digital currency, a global digital currency. No. Do you have any idea what that you think we live in a surveillance state now?
Yeah.
You guys, come on. It's bad. Like we've allowed it to get so bad. The Patriot Act and all of it. Like it's just been like they've been slow walking us into this for a while.
Yeah, the social thing, what they'll do with the cryptocurrency is try to nationalize. Well, because like cryptocurrency was taking off right on its own with no nationalized system, and they wanted their hands in that pie.
Well, and they also want, I mean, social credit scores that it'll be tied to everything. If you don't go get the vaccine, like they're telling you to do, then they'll shut down your money. They'll own you entirely. You'll be 100% dependent on the state. That's what they want.
It's kind of already happening though. Like, cause you look at my situation, I'm having a difficult time with anything to do with economics, living here in the United States. It's hard. I'm almost thought like, do I need to just go somewhere else for a while until he's just not president anymore? Because it's hard. It's really hard to get, my situation. For other people, I think that it's, a decision that we have to just get more active with our, who we put up for office. We need to be more insistent that we have a third party, fourth party choice, because we have no choice. We're choosing the same poison either way. So
I have zero faith in the electoral process, Tara. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, I don't care if it's a third party or a fourth party or a fifth party. The system is completely no. The electoral system in this, a 12-year-old can hack into an election machine in under 10 minutes. Our elections are garbage. The system is garbage. It's completely under corporate capture. The corporations own our politicians. They don't make any decisions. They don't write legislations. Lobbyists do. We know that our vote doesn't matter. They don't care what we say or do. All they care about is the top 1% and what they want. Our vote, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's president. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, same fucking thing. It's the same thing. I mean, it's a different cover on the same book. It's the same agenda. The electoral, we're not going to get anything out of electoral politics. Nothing of substance. It's going to take organizing outside.
I tried helping out the Libertarian Party in Minnesota here a couple years back. The biggest issue they were dealing with, and they were dealing with it for years, was ballot access. And just to get the name on the ballot was one of the most difficult processes. Some of the biggest hangups where when you would submit your paperwork, margins, if your margins were off, dismissed. If they had anything wrong, just simple grammar, dismissed. If there was anything like a signature, but missignatures, but things that were just like seemed to be very arbitrary, your paperwork is completely dismissed. You have to start all over. So there were many, many hoops to jump through just to gain have a name for whatever office that the person.
And the voting rights bill that the Democrats are trying to push for so hard right now makes that even harder. It eliminates third parties. Just like Democrats were suing to get the Green Party taken off of ballots in multiple states. None of these people, that's what I'm saying. When we're playing a rigged game by their rules, and they get to change the rules whenever they want, whenever it suits them. Like they got to change the meanings of words. They changed the definitions of words this past year. Like straight up just like to fit their narrative. That's the kind of, I mean, we can't win that. We cannot win that. We can't. We have to attack them from outside the system. Parallel societies, figure out how to grow food, trade with your neighbors, learn how to sew, fix cars, build shit, whatever you got to do. At some point, we're going to have to organize outside the system. I mean, honestly, though, if we're being realistic, the United States empire is just going to fail. It's going to fall. It's going to be really awful.
It's already like, I don't know if you're seeing
we're in free fall. We're living it.
I'm on the West Coast, and there's empty shelves. I mean, that's not a myth. That's not some Republican thing. That actually, I had to go to 3 stores to get cat food because they're not getting the cat food supplies in. You can't
Same
get,
here.
tried to order some and it was like weeks away. And when they ask the president of the United States about that, he acts like it's a stupid question, or he gets impatient. Well, I'm sorry, but we're living our day-to-day lives and we can't get the things we need. And the things that we do need have inflated so much in price, it's becoming impossible to afford them, basic needs. Yeah, I think that we just need, in the fall, there's going to be a big wake-up call. Like, I know you don't believe in voting in that sense, but
Democrats are going to get slaughtered for sure.
Be voted out,
no question. But it won't matter because Republicans are just as bad. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
I know,
it doesn't matter.
but I don't. I guess I really want. One of the things I was talking about on the podcast with Slavoj Žižek was his position. He was talking about how Americans have the sense of freedom, but we're actually unfree. So he was talking about unfreedom. And it was so interesting to listen to because he was right. Like we talk a lot about freedom, but we don't have it. We don't know it.
No.
We don't experience it.
No. And in fact, we're willingly handing away our freedom on a daily basis. I mean, people are cheering this shit on, this authoritarian, like all of these nonsensical lockdowns and all of this. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it is crazy. It really is crazy. They're cheering on the censorship. We're losing our First Amendment. I mean, we're not losing it. We're handing it over willingly. It's happening in broad daylight. They're not hiding it. And I still can't get anybody to care about it. Like, it's really, it's terrifying. Honestly, it really is terrifying to see so many people actively participating in their own demise. Well,
I, like you said, it's going outside the system. So that's where we have to support content creators and we have to support independent media. And I'm with Independent News Network and I really like that group of people. I don't agree with every single one of their, views, but we all have these different views and we're all kind of in a group and we all lift each other's work up. But we have really interesting dialogue and debates, just like you and I do, Misty. And so although you and I are like-minded in a lot of things, there's other people that, I'm not as, some of the things I'm not as on board with, right? But it's cool to debate it and to work it out and to agree to disagree rather than just cancel it or delete it or block it or,
right.
Tara, do you find having actual real face-to-face conversations with people go many miles more and have so much more substance than anything that's discussed through text or Twitter or email or whatever have you? Just being able to see facial expressions and tone and cadence and things that make communication so much different.
Or even audio. Yeah. Like audio or visual, both. Yeah. It helps. I think those conversations are important. I think, Twitter is like a place where you can just kind of, it's like a bulletin board. It's like, this is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not really a dialogue of any kind. I mean, and for me, I will often post and then not look because I get so many trolls. So it's hard for me to have a conversation on Twitter. It would be nice to have a little debate on Twitter that's respectful, but they're so rare. It's almost like, it's a tool for, political persuasion and
I like calling it a bulletin board. I like that.
I do too. Yeah. That's
because that's really what it is. It's like, hey, ding, here's what's happening. You know what I mean? Or hey, ding, here's how I'm feeling today or whatever. It's, it is hard to debate. And I'll be honest, I am very guilty of, it's difficult to even entertain the idea of a debate. And I'm sure you're much more patient than I am, Tara. You're much nicer than I am too. But if somebody comes at me even almost sideways, I just immediately assume they're a troll because I get so many of them. And so I respond to them as such, you know what I mean? And there's probably some people who might be genuinely asking me a question, but I just misread them or whatever. I just don't have a whole lot of patience on Twitter anymore just because of the amount of trolls. So it's I don't even bother. I mute people like crazy these days. Because I don't even care. I don't even want to try to get into a debate on Twitter. It's just not, it's not the platform for that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Trolls are, I wish I had smarter trolls. If I had smarter trolls, they'd be okay. But
you have a group of political trolls that are probably paid for because of the Assange thing, and those are like the state NSA trolls or whatever, and they're awful. They are awful.
Mine are dumb. They're not sending their best,
and they're report them to the FBI. There you go. That would be like, let one agency get reported to another agency.
Seriously, mine are just so dumb. Like they use like the dumbest. Like my favorite is the TikTok stuff. Like they think it's really threatening or something. And the big thing is that they've been threatening to expose my grift, of which, let me assure you, I keep saying this, there is none.
Yeah, those money bags behind you, Misty.
They're filled with Kroger bags, dude. Grocery sacks.
Like that's a Putin picture, and that's what it is. Probably.
Yeah, but that's a joke. Like seriously, if I was a grifter, I would just tell you. Like I don't even think people who ask for money or for Patreons or whatever, I don't necessarily think they're wanting to be paid for their time, energy, and effort. That's totally reasonable. But I don't even do that. So just shut the fuck up. Like there's plenty of things to criticize me on. You don't have to make stuff up.
Yeah, grifting is one of those things they say to everyone. I mean, they even say that to Katie Halper of all people.
What? The grifter thing? Yeah.
All of them. Like, I think it's just a word that's become sort of overused. I don't even
really fascist and Nazi. I mean,
that's the new one now.
I've been called a fascist. I'm a free speech activist. Fascists don't exactly love free speech. I'm just letting you guys know that's not a thing that they're into. So they make no sense. Like, again, plenty of things to criticize me on. You don't have to make stuff up. I'll give you a list. I'm nothing if not painfully self-aware. Like, I'll give you a list of things to criticize me on. But making shit up and then like stalking me, that's what troubles me the most, is that there are people who like that's what they do. They just I'm some chick in Ohio. I have no power. I have no influence. Like I'm just some chick in Ohio, and spending that much time on me when there are people like psycho, like Bill Gates running around. I mean, is this really the best use of your time?
There's the concern for people that are, raising up issues that are important, like Assange, and activists that do that. And part of, unfortunately, part of activism is dealing with not only that, but also dealing with the government that will harass you and make you miserable trying to speak up. So yeah, this is it. So the best thing to do is to report the stuff that's illegal and ignore the rest, and then just
push through. That's why I mute.
Better.
That's why I mute. I just mute. It's just not worth my time at all anymore. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes they're fun to kick around, because they are. I mean, my trolls really, ask anybody, the chat knows, they can tell you my trolls are genuine. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They are genuinely stupid.
Yeah, our trolls do crossover sometimes, like they'll jump onto me for a while and go back to you, and then some of my trolls have gone after you.
Yeah, we did share like that one little group. Share some trolls. Yeah.
I like to help jump in sometimes with your trolls, Misty.
You do. There's a lot of people who like to jump in with my trolls because they are dumb, so they're easy. Like it's like if you're having a bad day, come pick up my trolls. They make it. I mean, they almost write it themselves. They almost write the tweets themselves. It's painful. So I mean, I'm just saying, if I had some clever ones, it would be different. Like that would at least be entertaining. They're not very smart. Whatever. It is what it is. It's just I just think that a lot of that is meant to be a time suck. Because the more time you spend arguing with them, the less time you are spending, or less time, like for example, I would be spending talking about Julian Assange or Daniel Hale. Yeah,
it's a distraction. It's when they come into real life with the stalking stuff that's scary, and that's when you have to get law enforcement involved, because some of them do. That happened to me, as you know. That was scary.
Yeah, somehow my trolls got pictures from my private Instagram account with my children in it. So yeah, they like went to my husband's Facebook page and they like found his voter information, which means they have my address. Like get a life, buy a plant. I told y'all, buy a plant, get a hobby, read a book, do something. I'm not that important, y'all. I openly admit that. I'm nobody special. It's a waste of fucking time. You guys are weird.
To us, and you're very special, I'm sure, to Julian Assange, if you could.
He has no idea who the fuck I am, and that's fine by me. I don't need him to know who I am.
He knows that people are trying.
He knows that the people, yes, but I'm just one of those people. You know what I mean? But he is
So
not.
what is
I
the
don't need him to know.
next thing? So the next event you have planned, because you have one coming up, right?
April 11th, unless so Monday, that what's going to go down on Monday probably won't change those plans. I don't know what's going to happen on Monday, therefore I don't know what's coming after that. So something could happen in between now and April that would make us speed things up or move things or whatever. But so far, we are planning on so End the Damn Wars is another activist group. We're kind of combined forces. They're going to have events on the 9th and the 10th. We're going to do a mutual aid activity on one of the days, and then we're going to do a protest on the other day. And then on Monday, April 11th, we're going to have a dual Assange protest. So I think we're going to do one in the morning at the British Embassy and then one in the afternoon at the Department of Justice. But we have we haven't finalized anything yet. I'm going to probably get the Airbnb settled. And then we can start getting supplies and stuff ready like that. But we haven't gotten anything like concrete yet, like times or the locations for sure. But I think that that's what we should do is both the British Embassy and the Department of Justice. I think we should do like maybe 10 to noon outside the British Embassy and then maybe like 2 to 4 outside the DOJ. I think that would be good. Yeah. Because we need to make lots of noise. 3 years.
Did you say there's going to be people representing at the 23rd DC event?
Yeah, I think somebody's going. I don't know who's going, but somebody is going to go. I wish I could go. They had an event today at the DOJ. Randy Credico was there, Max Blumenthal, Eleanor Goldfield, Assange Defense. All of those people were there today. Yeah, but I wish we could go to the 23rd. I can't. My kid has basketball all weekend long, so I just couldn't make it happen. I really wanted to go.
I'm going to shamelessly plug the organization that our mutual friend Emma has been helping out too. It's the World Council for Health. They have had a bunch of a lot of the doctors and also some of the people who've been speaking up on some of the mandates and things like that. I know Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was one, and there's some other people. I'm trying to find names here of a lot of the same doctors that keep coming up here. Malone and is it McCullough? Is that his name?
Yeah, Peter McCullough. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been and a plethora of other doctors and specialists who've been helping build that organization up as kind of like an alternative to the World Health Organization. So they will be representing there on the 23rd. So that's Monday.
I hope that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that's a big protest. I really wish I could be there. I just dropped the GoFundMe in the chats again for the April event. If anybody can contribute, if you cannot contribute, if you can just share the link, that's super helpful, super duper helpful. And I meant to thank Jimmy Dore. We had Jimmy Dore and Facts on the Ground last night. Jimmy Dore donated a very generous amount to us and also shared our link. And he's awesome. He is somebody who has always done consistent Assange coverage. And so I always like to thank him whenever possible. Because it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It shouldn't be this hard to get people to talk about Julian Assange in media.
Yeah, do you talk to Jackson Hinkle much?
I do not. I don't think he likes me much, which is fine.
No, okay.
I'm not for everybody. It's okay.
No, it's okay. I thought he usually spoke about Assange.
No. I don't know if he's. I don't think he shared the link. We follow. I think he follows me. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I think he does. It's gonna bother me.
Yeah, I know Katie Halper's done a lot. I know
I could probably get Katie to talk about it. I don't think she likes me either, which is again, that's fine too.
Oh, I'm sure she does.
I don't know.
Yeah,
one of my stalkers likes to. So okay, I'll tell you the story. So I don't know if you remember or not. He does follow me. Jackson Hinkle does follow me. Okay, I thought so. I'll ask him. He's always been great about covering Assange. I just don't think he likes me much. Maybe I'll have somebody else ask him. But yeah. So I have a stalker who I don't know if you remembered when Jen Perlman did the telethon for Assange a while back.
Yes.
So one of my stalkers has invented this scenario in their head that I tried to sabotage that effort. Katie Halper guest or co-hosted that. And so one of my tells people that I tried to sabotage that, which didn't happen. And I have like evidence of in fact, the opposite happened, where we had a vigil scheduled for that day and we canceled it in solidarity with their event. I tweeted about canceling it in solidarity with their event. I did no sabotaging whatsoever, but that stalker constantly tweets at Katie Halper, trying to get Katie Halper to not like me. And I think maybe that's probably gotten to Katie Halper, and she's bought into that some, which again, it's fine. I don't need her to like me, but yeah, she does pretty good stuff on Julian Assange. So I'll always be appreciative of that.
Great stuff on Julian Assange and Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, I don't agree with Marianne Williamson on everything, but I will give her credit every single day, all day long, for being great on Julian Assange. She wasn't always. I have to give credit to Jimmy Dore, because early on in the campaign, she went on Jimmy Dore's show and she was not good on Julian Assange. And Jimmy did not let her off the hook. He kept after her, and then she changed her opinion. So I give her mad props for that.
Oh, good. Well, yeah. It too, a lot of them get scared because, it's like one of those flashpoint issues. Remember the phrase, "We need to get out of these endless wars." That phrase was enough to get you called a Russian agent a couple of years ago. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Assange is a third rail issue for sure in politics, which is why.
No, but what I'm saying is there's key words: Snowden, Assange, endless wars. Those are those words that are considered dissonant language to, the political community at large sometimes. So that's the problem. And so you get those mainstream candidates, or trying to be mainstream, who are kind of afraid to make a stand. But I think what I've seen of her since the Democrats treated her so incredibly badly, is she's kind of switched, and she's taken up Donziger, she's taken up Assange, she's taken up some really good, positions.
Yep.
And then there's Yang, who just the other way, and he's all for Assange being prosecuted. So I don't know, go figure.
Yeah, he sucks. He's always sucked, though. I've always said he sucked. I still don't. I don't trust Marianne Williamson. I don't trust any politician, even people I like as individuals. I don't trust them as politicians. I love Shahid Buttar. I love Christina Olivio. But I don't trust them as politicians. I like them as individual people, but and so I don't trust Marianne Williamson. I think that you should always be skeptical of these people and critical of these people, but she has been good on Julian Assange. And so I will always give credit where it's due. Like Tucker Carlson. I don't like Tucker Carlson. He's great on Assange. And I am okay with giving him that credit.
Yeah, I'm not, obviously I don't support Trump, and I don't support a lot of Tucker Carlson's views that are quite conservative, but he did this amazing kind of well-balanced thing about Russia, about we should not go to war with Russia. And, and then now there was I forget who it was. It was a member of Congress, and then a Hollywood elite said that he should be investigated for sedition for saying that. No kidding. And they listed out the sedition law. It was
I'd be curious to know if any of those people who want to do that have any children or loved ones who might be in the military, who might be sent over there at all. I'm just curious if that might be part of the equation or not.
And it's amazing because when you think about the people that are all for that war right now, that are pushing it, they're all 75 and 80. If you look at they're old men. There's a demographic. They're the old white men. There'd be the family dinners where you'd be like, okay, it's time for your pills and for you to go to bed. And they start ranting about Russians. Yeah, like that.
Why do we have an age minimum? Why can't we have an age maximum,
Yes. Dude, Dianne Feinstein has no business being a senator.
Yeah, and I don't want to be ageist because I'm older, whatever, not that old, but I will be.
But there should be a limit, you guys. Come on.
You don't want to be you don't want me running the country when I'm trying to find my socks because I can't remember who they are.
I forget the comedian, but there's a comedian who made a joke about how this is the only job literally in the country where we're not throwing up a fit, that the most eligible person is grandpa's age,
right?
Literally any other job in the country we're throwing up some kind of stink. Like, can this guy really pull this off? This 78-year-old.
Yeah.
And this is running the country. Well, we all know they don't really
They're
run
not
the country,
really.
but, you know.
Yeah.
They're the actors in the soap opera with psychopaths that feature psychopaths. That's all it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pathetic. And I love too that, like, if you want to get a job at Target, you have to take a drug test, but to be a senator, there's no, I mean, if we're going to drug test anybody, which we shouldn't be drug testing anybody, but if we're gonna, I would like to drug test members of Congress. I think we could get rid of a lot of people that way. Right? I think we could get rid of a lot of people that way.
That's very true.
I think a lot of people would fail that test.
They'd be more willing to give up their drugs than their stock options, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Insider trading.
Yeah, but you know, she's kind of, I think she's virtue signaling, but she's saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Nancy Pelosi is not ever going to actually put to a vote making it illegal for members of Congress to own stocks. Do you have any idea how much money she has made over? I mean, she is a multiple millionaire.
Yeah, and somebody put up a meme. They said, why did Martha Stewart go to jail for inside trading and not Nancy Pelosi?
Right? Because Nancy Pelosi writes the laws. She gets to exempt herself from being held accountable for that.
It's quite a gig, and it lasts until the 80s, I guess, until you're in your 80s or 90s. You can fossilize in the seat or die. Has anyone ever died? Historically, I think there was someone who actually did die on the floor.
Yeah, on the floor? I don't know about on the floor.
Well,
really?
Strom Thurmond died while still in office, didn't he?
Yeah,
a couple people have died while in office. Yes. I mean, there's been quite a few people who have died while in office. I mean, not quite a few, but you know what I mean? I mean,
like of old age, not just like.
Okay, I don't know how many.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to look at.
Deaths, but I mean, aging like where they're fossilizing in their seat, like Diane.
Well, usually these people have the presence of mind to leave public office and go like join a consulting firm or whatever, like sit on the boards of places and like work, you know, a week, a year, or like a couple days a year on the board of some company.
It's got to be very taxing to put on those eyebrows every morning for Nancy, right?
Usually I don't enjoy making fun of women and their appearance, but fuck Nancy Pelosi. Yeah.
I'm pretty disappointed. It's California. The California politicians we have are pretty bleak.
Yeah. Good God.
Yeah, they are. And they're
I mean, I'm in Ohio though, so I will say we're way better than blue states on the COVID. Like, I mean, except for like the major cities like Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, they all have like mass stuff. But my little town has not really ever had anything. I mean, like when it first started, there was like like not mandates, but like it was pretty heavily expected. But there's not a lot of mandatey stuff. And like, I don't even mind, like people get mad at me because I don't like mandates. I don't like people like thinking that they can write laws telling other people what they can and cannot do. And I mean, I think that you have to present, the problem is that they lie to everybody. So it's just, there's no trust at all in any of the information that's given to us. And therein lies the problem. So.
Well, I think they're trying very hard to distract us from our domestic, not having housing, not having medical care, not having access to, to what we need. And then the geopolitics is kind of reflecting that, just trying to distract us. So thus, we're on the brink of war now, which will end up being a world war if we're not careful. And we need to bring it in. I mean, like, I don't know if people are really paying attention, but we're in a really dangerous situation right now.
I don't think people are paying attention.
They need to pay attention because it's important. We need a movement of peace so my other anti-imperialist friends, I would encourage them. This is the time we let Washington know that as citizens, we do not support war. This is the time.
And like I said, April 9th and 10th in the damn wars is having, I don't know which day we're doing which yet, but we're going to try to get together with Reverend Annie Chambers, who's a former Black Panther who works and lives out of Baltimore. She does a lot of mutual aid stuff out of Baltimore. So we're going to try to get together with her and do a mutual aid activity on one day and then have a protest on the other day. about ending the damn wars. So please come out. Please come to DC that weekend. Stay for Monday's protest for Julian Assange. That'll be like a good few days. I really encourage everybody to try to make it out if you can. I know it's hard to travel right now and everything's expensive.
By then it'll be better. Hopefully by then.
Yeah.
It's spring. It's a few months away.
Maybe.
You know?
I hope so. Like right now, DC is very locked down.
Is it? Okay.
I'm kind of worried about it. Like, I'm not so much worried about myself because I just drive there. It's a 6.5 hour drive, but trying to fly for some people who want to come could be really difficult. We've already decided that I think we're just going to, if it's locked down there, I think we're just going to grocery shop before we get into DC. And then just eat at the Airbnb, like not even get takeout because we don't want to spend money there. But hopefully it won't be as bad in April. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of places are starting to lift their stuff. Like the UK is lifting all of their restrictions. There's going to be no more.
Ireland just announced.
Ireland, yeah. I think a couple other places have too.
Because the truth of the matter, Ireland just announced that, and that's Claire Daly is one of my favorites.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, I wish we could have a Claire Daly.
Can we clone her?
I know, like she's not American. If we could just take her here, because she would give him hell. Like that would be a progressive. Like that, if we had her instead of AOC, we could get some things. She's amazing.
She's what everybody thought AOC was going to be. That's not what AOC is. That's not it. AOC is Nancy Pelosi in training. That's all she is.
I really admire her. She's really something.
I love Claire and Mick Wallace too. Mick Wallace, they make a really good tag team over there. And they both are fucking amazing on Julian Assange.
Yeah,
I mean, they went to London a couple times when there were major court dates or announcements going on. They were just there, I think, when the recent announcement was made where they flipped the no extradition decision. They were in town that day. They're great. Love them. I love the Irish anyway. The Irish have badass energy.
They do. That is true. I think, it's just the Celtic thing.
And the French. I love the French.
Yes. The French. Yeah. And I think one of my favorites recently was when the French, a bunch of activists took horse manure and just sprayed it at the president's manor. And I thought, that's so French. Like, can you imagine if we did that here? They would be like, I almost died. That's
oh my God. Well, first of all, we would probably get shot. And then second of all, yes, there would be like a commemorative event every year on the anniversary of Shitgate. And they would have a candlelight vigil for almost dying from suffocating in shit or whatever from 6 blocks away,
crying on the Senate floor, reminiscing about the moment that
they'd have a taxpayer-funded therapy session on the House floor. Shut the fuck up. Oh, so annoying. That is so annoying. That shit is so annoying. Can we please learn to recognize a PSYOP? Everybody, please. That was like one of the most obvious PSYOPs I've ever seen, and you all are still freaking out about it over a year later. It's embarrassing.
I've told Misty.
Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I told Misty about this, but I lived in Egypt in 2011 when they overthrew Mubarak, and that was over 2 weeks long. There was hundreds killed, thousands more injured. I think it was somewhere in the vicinity of like 12,000 people arrested, and
some guy farts in Nancy Pelosi's chair and everybody wants to like shut the country down and call it an insurrection.
People who were like, after the fact, they're like animated about like, is everyone okay? How's everyone dealing? Like this was, days after the fact. And I'm like, I actually lived in a country where they successfully overthrew their government. It was not 6 hours long. They did not walk between velvet rope.
They walked in orderly lines. Like there's pictures of them, like the little velvet rope things through Congress, like through the halls. Like there's like pictures of these guys, like with their cameras out, taking pictures. Yeah, that's really an insurrection.
Yeah.
Come the fuck on. Some guy in like the little Viking helmet. He's gonna overthrow the. Come on.
So anyway, you were there. Did you heard about Lara Logan, the reporter that was there? Was she there during that time, or is that a different time when she had her thing happen to her?
I'm unfamiliar with that one.
Oh,
I don't know if that was then.
She was an investigative reporter. She was attacked in Egypt, on camera. So
Hold on.
I'd have to look that up. That sounds vaguely familiar. Again, I can't believe it's been over 10 years.
It was around that period of time.
I'm looking it up.
How did you get out, or how did you navigate your way through?
So I was in the army at the time. I was stationed in the Sinai, in the northern Sinai near Israel, and so we were a good 6-7 hours from Cairo. I want to say, I can't remember exactly how far, but it was a day trip to Cairo, and where our compound was, it was a multinational organization, so we had people from literally all over the world. And so the people around there were some towns nearby, but a lot of the surrounding civilians were Bedouins. So they just, they were sheep herders basically.
Right.
And so there sort of some protests, if you will, like burned tires outside of our camp now and again. And we had absolutely nothing to do with, obviously, the overthrowing of Mubarak. We were living under, Egyptian-Israeli, the treaty between the two countries that dates back to 1980. So that was the mission there, is that there's like somewhere in the vicinity of like 12 countries who help finance that organization and that continued mission. And we had like restricted travel for a while, for like 3 or 4 months. We couldn't go anywhere really. And then once things kind of eased back to normal, because they didn't have, I don't think they had a president in the entire duration I was there. Because I was there, well, for the first month I was there, I guess. And then after that, it was, flying by the seat of their pants, sort of. So there was a lot of like checkpoints once we were able to travel again, that we'd have to go through, with the Egyptian army and things like that. But there was no bad blood between us and them. They knew the purpose that we served. So there was, once I got to Cairo, finally, I think it was like something like 6 months later after the fact, maybe a little bit before that. It ran like a normal city. There, we went around kind of near where Tehran Square was, where all the chaos was happening.
Right.
And it was pretty normal at that point. Nothing, they couldn't allow us, because once we reached a certain checkpoint, we had to store our weapons. So we couldn't bring weapons into Cairo. We couldn't even go like more than, I think, like 45 minutes from our camp with our weapons. And we couldn't be in uniform either. We couldn't stick out like we were soldiers, because then people would probably freak out, like, why the fuck is the U.S. Army here, So it was certainly an interesting time to be there, but I was way far away from any of the stuff that anybody was watching on the news anyway.
So the incident with Laura Logan happened in February of 2011.
Okay. So it was
okay. So it did happen then.
Yeah.
While there. And so she was attacked on camera.
They were arrested, on camera.
And who was she with?
She was at CBS, I think, at the time.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, interesting.
I think so.
Yeah, it was a pretty brutal attack. She was assaulted.
Yeah. They were arrested. I think they were held overnight, if I remember correctly.
And then she got out, obviously, right?
Yeah.
She's now, she's not with CBS anymore. I don't know if it. Yeah,
I don't know what she's doing now.
I wanted to ask you. So if people want to donate for this, that you have the link going on for, and this would help get people there, your activists.
So all of the funds, which receipts will be posted to the GoFundMe, every penny will go to some way of helping us do this thing. So it'll help cover the Airbnb, which we're going to try to get an Airbnb big enough to fit like 10 to 12 people. So that'll help people with lodging. It will be to get supplies. So we always make shirts. We make buttons. We get things like informational flyers and stuff printed up. It'll go toward, helping with food costs and travel costs and all of that stuff. So the more we raise, the more we can do, the more people we can get there. Unfortunately, activism is really expensive. You know what I'm saying?
It is. It's become that way.
It sucks. but that's the reality of it.
You won't need permits because you're not actually doing an actual rally or anything. You're just
well, we will it'll be a rally. There's going to be a lot of people there. Anything over 20 people you have to have a permit for in DC, and there will be more than 20 people there. So yeah, there, I mean, which is annoying because permits are like, it's basically, state approved or whatever, but I mean, just depends. I would love to do arrestable actions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we're at that point now where we're going to have to start. I think that's a good way to get attention. So it's something that, but we need to be very mindful about organizing those, making sure that we're very smart about who goes, who is going to be on the outside of it to, deal with bail and shit. So yeah, that's something that we've considered, some stuff that, at some point we're going to have to amp it up.
Well, I think that just having the vigils and having the awareness and getting it, that is very important. But I think also it's the independent media really talking about it again and trying to pressure the government. I think if there's some way to get the Biden administration on board with dropping it, and that's the key. So what would be the way to do that? And what's the key to that? Yeah, no, I'm serious.
Oh, okay, listen, I don't want to lie to anybody. The odds are not in our favor here. Right. We are in a position where Julian Assange has pissed off the most powerful people on earth on numerous occasions. They don't want him free. They're using him as a warning shot to other journalists and whistleblowers. And so it is not going to be easy to convince them to back off of this. It's going, again, mass public pressure. It is going to take people being loud about this, constantly calling, writing, tweeting at them, emailing them, getting in their faces, just asking about it. I mean, we can't even get journalists to ask the Biden, other than Matt Lee. Let's give Matt Lee from the AP some credit. He has on occasion asked about it. We appreciate you, fam. But this is a direct assault on the future of journalism. And we can't even get journalists to acknowledge that it's going on. They won't even talk about it.
I know it's one of the most important things that are happening, and it will affect the rest of, and it's already had a chilling effect on whistleblowing and journalism for sure. So it needs attention. It needs focus, because how we deal with, bringing to light corruption is contingent on how active we are right now with Julian Assange. So it's one of the things I talk about, as pretty much every time I'm somewhere public, I bring up Assange. I brought it up,
and we love you for it.
Brought it up with it because it's one of the most. It's fundamental to everything. Plus, he's a human being that's being imprisoned, very
tortured, murdered.
Yeah.
Murdered.
And murder in slow motion, like an execution, I should say, in slow motion is what's happening. And no, NSA, that is not disinformation. That is a fact.
Come for me, bro. Yeah. I'll come for me. Seriously, that's not even up for debate. That's not up for debate. It's just not. They are murdering him in slow motion. And it's a multi-state sponsored murder. I mean, this is Ecuador, Sweden, the UK, Australia, the US. I mean, this is a multi-state operation, and we have evidence for it. That's what's so frustrating, Tara, is that they didn't have a case to begin with. He didn't do anything wrong, period. Right. End of story. He did not do anything wrong. They had to rely on some unbelievable douche canoe who's a convicted pedophile, a career criminal. He was convicted of embezzling $50,000 from WikiLeaks. They get that guy to come lie. He's then since admitted that he fabricated his entire testimony. We have evidence that the CIA was plotting to kidnap or kill him in the streets of London. We have evidence that UC Global was spying on him for the last couple of years that he was in the Ecuadorian embassy, including conversations with his legal team. Whatever like semblance of a case that they had has completely disintegrated over the past year, and he's still in fucking prison. And I don't understand how that happens. I don't.
What's happening with Daniel Hale?
He's currently in a CMU, which is a communications management unit, which is essentially another word for, or another term for, special administrative measures. So he is held in extreme isolation. All of his communications, whether it be via mail or phone or visits, are heavily monitored. He's isolated for the most part. All of his visits are severely limited. And he's like, it's a very short list of people that he's even allowed to see. And he is going to be there for, we don't know for sure how long. He was sentenced to 54 months. It's very likely he won't have to serve the entirety of that. We'll see. Reality Winner basically served her entire sentence. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, they have a GoFundMe for him set up to help, which they had to fight him on. You guys know I love me some Daniel Hale. He's one of the most humble, just like genuinely good people. I mean, I've never met him personally, but just from what I've observed, you guys know I've told you the story about how he finally found a job and then he got fired for trying to organize the staff. Yeah. That's the kind of guy you're dealing with. And he didn't want to have like a GoFundMe or something to help with like his legal costs and like just getting his life back on track. His team had to kind of fight with him to get one started. So it has now been started. So if you guys can donate to that, you can go to, I think it's Daniel Hale support. Hold on. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Right.
Daniel. It is. Why is it not coming up? Daniel Hale.
Oh, and you, while you're doing that, we need to talk about the new case that this
Olabeni.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been trying. I'm putting the handle for the Daniel Hale Twitter account. They also have a website, but you can go there and they get thanks. But yeah, you can go there and get updates, information. They have a website where you can please write to him, but make sure you follow the rules. Make sure you use the right paper. You don't send stuff that you're not supposed to send. Make sure you use the right color ink. Make sure you use a return address on your envelope, all that stuff, because a lot of stuff gets returned. So yeah, Olabeni is that case is very related to Julian Assange. So Olabeni is friends with Julian Assange. They have a relationship and association. He was arrested the same day as Julian Assange in Ecuador. So he had tweeted publicly that he was going to be leaving for Japan. And then amazingly, that same day, Ecuador decided to arrest him. On the same day that they arrested Julian Assange. It's for a bunch of bogus charges, and they've been giving him the legal runaround for the last 3 years as well. His trial has been delayed numerous times, just a ridiculous clusterfuck. It's seriously, it's bad. So his that resumed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Which is today. And so the only updates I could find today are in Spanish. So I'm not super clear about what happened, but what I kind of gathered is that the prosecution attempted to enter or entered some kind of evidence that they didn't inform the defense about prior to entering it, which you can't do. You have to let the other team know what you got so that they have time to also examine it, so it's fair. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do that, so it seems like it's now been delayed again, but that's, don't quote me on that because I could only find updates in Spanish, so I want to get better info on that. But that's
Claire Daly just posted about it, so let's look at her
okay. Yeah, maybe she see this is why I love her. Nobody talks about Olabeni.
She did. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that was her.
I love her so much. I do.
I do too. I want to meet her. She's one of my Celtic heroes besides Boudica. As you know, remember one of my first articles with RT was channeling that Celtic queen Boudica for.
He did, or she did tweet about it. God,
yeah, she tweeted the article that you sent me earlier, Misty.
Yeah, that's just like a breakdown. It just kind of gives you the I'll put this link to this article from People's Dispatch.
She might post something else. So we'll like watch her accounts, and sometimes people that answer her will have updates.
There will be stuff in English tomorrow, but I mean, it's happening in Ecuador. So obviously all of the initial stuff is going to come out in Spanish, and then journalists in this country will get it translated, all that stuff. And it takes like the next day before I can get, I wish I knew, I should just get Fiorella to read it. She's very busy, but yeah, I mean, I need a translator. I need to just learn Spanish, but you know.
In that article that you sent me at the bottom, there is like a 15-minute interview with him that helps kind of him elaborate a little bit more to
about what's
was going on.
happening.
Yeah. So if people want to find it.
I put that in the chat for everybody. That People's Dispatch article. Please support Olabeni. Familiarize yourself with his case. He is very much tied to what's happening to him is very much tied to what's happening to Julian Assange. So we got to all like band around all of them. I just don't want people to forget him in the mix of everything else. I know I focus on Assange mostly, but I try to remember that there are other people like Daniel Hale, like Joshua Schultz, all that stuff. I'd like to get an update on Joshua Schultz. I might work on that for Tuesday. It's hard to get information on these people because like Joshua Schultz being held under special administrative measures. So it's really hard to get updates because
call it that special administrative. They should just because it's embarrassing that we torture people.
Just call it what it is. It's fucking torture. Just torture. We're torturing some folks. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Administrative. They make it sound like they're like at a desk, like typing away at some admin thing. No, that's not.
Yeah. Well, it's like communications management unit. That's what they're calling what Daniel Hale. It's
management unit, meaning you can't communicate with anyone ever.
Yeah. And like under special administrative measures, you're not allowed to speak about the conditions you're being held in. Your friends and family are basically put under a gag order. Your legal team's put under a gag order. You're not allowed to talk about it. So it's really hard to get updates about how these people are actually doing. So I have written to Daniel Hale a couple times. So I'm hoping that eventually I'll get a letter back. It's difficult for him to even update people through mail because his mail gets read. So he can't really
anything that's not transparent. It doesn't work. Like when you do things like that, like administer something where there's no transparency, there's going to be corruption and horrible things happening. It's just not good. I mean, it's horrible. Well, thank you. Missy, I just want to thank you for all the work you do for Assange and for other people that have no voice. It's really important work that you do. And I always feel honored when you ask me to come on. And I'm thinking about Julian Assange a lot because after that hearing, it's kind of like for the media, they didn't do much more on it. But, he's living day to day imprisoned still. And his children don't have their father.
Living.
Yeah. And they're not being clear about his medical condition. And that's kind of wonky. That's not being really released. And, must be horrendous for Stella as well and his family and his brother. And
Yes. And I love his dad. Oh, he's such a nice guy. And he's seriously, if you ever talk to him, bring a microphone. He's so soft spoken.
Yeah.
He's very lovely though. I love him to death.
Thanks for having me on for this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And do you want to tell everybody where they can find all your stuff? I mean, I have all the links in the description. But do you have a podcast episode coming out soon?
Politics of Survival. We have the new one coming out where I'm interviewing someone really fascinating, and that's coming out in a couple weeks. And so every other Friday. So I just had Friday, so it'll be next Friday, the next one. And that's Politics of Survival with Tara Reade. You can find it on Buzzsprout. You can find it on Apple, wherever you find podcasts. And then every once in a while, I'm writing op-eds for RT every other week or so. And then, and I'm trying to do some Substack, and I'm trying to be, good about it. And then, of course, on Twitter, you can find me at Reade Alexandra, Reade Alexandra. And Substack, I want to get more into that. So I want to do a little bit more. So,
Cool. Okay. Eric, do you have anything on your show coming up that you want to hype before we wrap?
I've got 2 interviews up. I've done one kind of investigative sort of video. I will be doing more kind of like breakdowns of words, since that's kind of my forte is language. And then I will be lining up another interview here shortly. Hopefully, I think Emma might be on the docket. I know we haven't confirmed anything yet, but that's still very wonky and clunky, but it's in the
You'll get better.
It's out.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Cool. And Indy's in the chat and INN.
This made me laugh, okay? Because you just had my name up there, Tara Reade, and then you put call DOG. I was like, what? I remember, call DOG.
I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
You're going to be like,
well, I I usually put the call DOJ up throughout the show, but I forgot because I was we got involved in our conversation and I was distracted.
Yeah, I'm joking. But just non-sequitur. It's call the
Don't
DOJ.
call the DOJ on Tara. I meant call the DOJ about Julian Assange, please.
There you go. Let's call the DOJ about Julian Assange for no other reason. Don't mention I'm wearing Hoosier t-shirt. My t-shirt.
It's fine, guys. It's fine. Don't call the Department of Justice on me, bitches.
I'm wearing my Norm Macdonald t-shirt. I mean, he loved Tolstoy, so I guess that's our Russian connection.
I have my A for A. If you guys come to our protest, I'll make you a shirt.
She does. She makes shirts.
I do. I make a lot of shirts in DC. Yeah. I'm like the ironing queen. Me and Steve, we're like shirt making machines. Okay, so
I just still feel weird with call DOJ underneath my picture.
Okay, hold on. I'll take it down. I'll take it down.
It's giving me like
making you nervous. I get it. I get it. Yeah. I get it. Okay, so only thing I have for you guys. Oh, Wednesday, I'm gonna have the Bank Sisters on Bitch. That's gonna be fun. Tara was just on there.
They were amazing.
So yeah, I'm excited to have them on. So that's Wednesday at 7. We're working on some stuff for Facts on the Ground. We have some people that are going to be coming on, but we don't have them like locked down yet. So I don't want to mention anything yet, but we always do Facts on Friday. Fridays, we had one earlier today at 4:00. And then we are going to have, I don't have a guest lined up for Tuesday's vigil, but we're just going to wing it. And I'll see if I can get somebody in between now and then. If not, there will definitely be updates from Monday. So, and Monday, Eric, are you going to get up early or stay up late?
I'll get up early. It should be like 5:30ish. Is that what it's?
That's 5:30 my time, homie. So you're what? Are you Pacific? Yeah,
I'm Central. So yeah.
Yeah, you're 4:30 then. So if you don't have to, if you don't want, I can do it myself. But somebody needs to cover it live in the States, so I'll do it.
No, and just hit me up on Signal.
Okay.
I'll set an alarm anyway, and it might be on my phone.
That's fine. I'm going to look like hell. I'm going to be very tired out of it. But somebody needs to cover it live. So
I will not be camera ready. I'll tell you.
No,
that.
I'm not going to be looking cute at all. Not that, I mean, I don't ever really focus too much on that.
Fabulous. Don't worry about it. And you know what? Thank you, Independent News Network, who's been lifting up all of this. So
yeah, INN. Check out INN too, homies. So yeah, Bank Sisters on Wednesday. We're gonna have live coverage starting at. I'll probably jump on around 5:15ish Eastern, because the ruling will be read at 5:30. That'll give me time to like shake some of the cobwebs out of my head. Don't expect like really witty dialogue because I'm gonna be really tired. So yeah, I think that's all we have coming up. And then there will definitely be a vigil Tuesday because we're gonna have updates, and I would assume I'm going to be pissed off and ready to rant. So, there will be that. So I think that's all we have. Thanks everybody in the chat. We love you. Share the GoFundMe, donate if you can, come to DC or organize in your own city, whatever you can do. We got to do it. Let's do it together. We got it. We got to keep fighting. That's the only option we have. So yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks everybody. Thanks Tara for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye guys.